Now, we've had a huge response to our story last night on wind farms and the potential public health risks they pose. The residents who live near turbines that we spoke with are experiencing all sorts of ill effects, and despite reassurances from the power companies, there is growing unease in a number of communities. It's an issue South Australian Senator Nick Xenophon has been following closely, and I spoke with Nick earlier today. Nick, thank you very much for coming in. Firstly, look, it's become almost heresy to criticise anything to do with alternative energy, hasn't it? But do you think we have been a little quick off the mark, a little too eager to embrace wind power without the proper checks and balances?
I'm a great believer in renewable energy. The problem is South Australia's put too many eggs in the wind farm basket. We've got tremendous geothermal reserves which can provide baseload power, long-term power that's reliable, but we're not investing in that because we've put so much of our resources into wind power, and there are huge human consequences as well.
Well, how did you become interested in the topic?
I've had many residents that have complained to me about what they're facing. We've got the worst wind farm laws anywhere in the country in terms of protecting the rights of individuals. That needs to change, but also there's emerging evidence that this is a huge public policy scandal, and what Today Tonight revealed last night indicates that there's a lot more to come.
Well, what are people telling you? What are those residents saying?
Well, people are being driven out of their own homes. How can you have people turned into wind turbine refugees because the noise, the infrasound, that low frequency noise that actually affects brain activity is ruining their lives? There is a whole range of issues here in terms of local government accountability, but also the accountability of the state and federal governments, particularly the federal government, which makes these wind turbines possible by virtue of the renewable energy scheme.
Well, you've said it yourself that the noise has a lot to do with brain activity, but I take it you've also heard from the industry itself, you know, saying that the noise is nothing but irritating, absolutely nothing more. We've also heard that the health complaints are psychosomatic, even that it's jealousy from farmers that they missed out on the income. What do you make of all of that, Nick?
That's incredibly insulting and belittling of the lives that have been ruined because of this. Just a few days ago, the National Health and Medical Research Council, the peak medical body in this country, issued a statement saying that we need to have a precautionary approach to wind farms. When you have the peak medical body in this country saying that we need to be cautious about this, then that should make everybody take notice.
Well, it's certainly saying something, but the industry itself saying is only anecdotal evidence.
Well, of course the industry will say that. They've got billions of dollars tied up in this. They have a huge vested interest, but it's about time we looked at the community interest, and right now individuals' rights are being trodden over. I think it's inevitable that there could well be legal action, if not in South Australia, in Victoria or New South Wales or a combination of states, any time now, because so many people are beginning to speak out. And what your program did last night is, I think, empowering people to say they do have rights, they do have an ability to do something about this.
Well, local councils have played a big part in this. Do you think that they've been diligent enough in the process, in the planning and approval?
I think local governments need to be empowered to look at the development plans that they have to abide by. What they need to consider is they need to avoid or minimise excessive noise. That's what the rules actually say, and if they don't, there's a real risk that local government in this state could be subject to massive legal claims.
Do you think it was Mike Rann's government that made it harder to object to new proposals like this before he left Parliament?
Well, the rules were changed. The goalposts shifted just months before Mike Rann stepped down as Premier in a way that compromised and destroyed individuals' rights to object against these wind farms. The last best hope will now be legal action for nuisance, which is something that's been around for hundreds of years. We need to use that law for people to actually assert their rights once and for all, and I think that will make governments at all levels sit up and take notice.
What about advice for communities who perhaps are facing new developments? What do you say to them?
Look, you are not alone. Don't buy the line that it's inevitable that these applications will be approved. You do have rights, and those rights are that you have the right to be able to enjoy your property, to have a good night's sleep without disturbance. That's what the law says. It's been developed over hundreds of years. It's about time those rights were asserted.
All right, obviously there are many people who feel let down with this. Thank you very much for your time, Nick.
Pleasure.